All right, towners. For this recipe here, we're going to make some mini bunless burger bites. To start off here with this recipe, we have our hamburger meat. This is about 1 pound of ground beef. And we just went ahead and just started to take off some small chunks of it and to form our hamburger patties. The patties are very small here. They're about the size of maybe a golf ball, just flattened out a bit. And again, this is 1 pound of meat. So we were able to get a total of 10 patties out of this. So they're not that big. We got 10 good sized patties out of this. Went ahead and seasoned this up with some salt and pepper. And then after that, went ahead and went straight to our frying pan. We have the frying pan over medium high heat, and just went ahead and added all of our burger patties into the pan. All 10 of them fit pretty easily. I think this is about a 10-inch pan, I believe. But put all your patties into the pan, hit it with additional salt and pepper, and then just let that go. We cooked this for about 2 minutes, I would say, on the first side. And after the 2 minutes were up, all of the patties pretty much were released from the pan. They didn't stick or anything. So went ahead and started to flip all of them over. Once we flipped them over, we let it go on the back half for probably about a minute and a half. The second half cooked a lot faster than the first half, and got some nice coloration on the back half. So after we flipped it that second time, realized that we're good to go. And at that point, just started to take them out of the pan. Now, what I did forget to do was I was supposed to top it off with some cheese at this point. I was supposed to just let the heat from the pan melt that, but I forgot to do that. So I just took some pepper jack cheese and some cheese slices and cut them in 4 and topped them off on top of our mini burgers and just popped them in the microwave for about 15 to 20 seconds, enough for the cheese to melt. And then at that point, we were good to go. We had our cheeseburgers there. So after that, we went ahead and chopped up our additional veggies that we were going to add to our mini bunless burgers. We have some romaine lettuce, some pickle slices, our homemade jalapeno, and some plum tomatoes. So we just went ahead and went through with the assembly process to build these all up. We took the romaine lettuce and placed it at the bottom. Just cut that in half so that way it can fold over and hold this, basically keep its shape, and put that down as our base layer. Topped it off with the burger patty, and then put down a pickle slice on top of that with one of our homies, the jalapeno, and then topped it off with a plum tomato and put a toothpick on top to hold it in place, and then just lined it up on our plate. It was fun to make, but also very easy. The hardest part was possibly forming the patties, but the rest of it, 3-4 minutes to cook the burger, to cook the meat, and then the rest is just assembling it and putting it together. Here's the final product of how it looked. The only thing that you can add to it possibly is some dipping sauce. You can make your own sauce or just use ketchup or mustard. I didn't put any sauce on top of these or in the middle of these because I felt that it would be a little bit messy because they're so small, but you can definitely put them on the side as a dipping sauce. But I definitely want to try these again with possibly chicken or ground turkey, just play around with some more flavors and different ingredients to see what else we can do with this. But I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. I definitely did. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Here is our mini bunless burger bites, our bunless sliders. Hope you guys enjoy. Welcome back, towners. Today we're making some baked ranch salmon nuggets. To start off this recipe here, we have a pound of salmon. Is salmon fillet. We took our knife and made a slit along the bottom of this. This fish did still have the skin on it. If you want to keep the skin on it, you can definitely leave it there. We wanted to take it off for this recipe that we're making. So to take the skin off, we took our knife and gripped the corner end of it and basically held the knife at like a slight angle facing down towards the skin, and just continued to cut along the bottom of the fish, trying not to dig into the fish at all. The skin should come off easily from the bottom of the fish, and this is what our skin looked like after we took it off. We pretty much got all of the skin off of the fish. We have this small little piece here on the bottom, so we just took our knife and clean that section up also. And once we got that off, then it was time to chop up our salmon. Once we got that off, we flipped the fish over and basically cut this into about 1-inch cubes. Just made some cuts long ways. Got about 5 pieces out, actually 6 pieces, and then cut it again along the other side, and basically just cut up these into 1-inch cubes. We got about a total of about 24 little pieces of fish. This is about the size of the 1-inch cubes that we have. Once we cut up all the fish, we set that to the side, and we actually just placed it all into a large bowl, so that way we can start to make our basically season it. Once we had all the fish to the bowl, we are now ready to season this up. We're going to season it with some Greek yogurt, unflavored Greek yogurt. And then we hit it with some kosher salt, some black pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, some dill, as well as some lemon juice. And that was everything that we needed to season up with. We then got our hands dirty and mixed up all of the seasoning to coat all the pieces of fish. Now into another bowl. We have a glass bowl here. We placed in here some almond flour as well as some nutritional yeast. I didn't have any Parmesan cheese, so we used the nutritional yeast instead. It does have a cheesy flavor to that, and it could definitely be used as a substitution for Parmesan cheese. Went ahead and mixed this up, and now it's time to start breading our pieces of salmon. We didn't use any egg or anything. We're letting the Greek yogurt do that. So we basically put in our fish into here and just used our breading and coated all of the pieces of fish on all sides. I should have used the two-handed method here, where I basically kept one hand clean and got one hand dirty basically. I should have had one hand where I dipped it into the Greek yogurt and fish, and then once I put it into the pan, then use my other hand to coat it. That would have helped me save a little bit of the breading, because I did lose a bit of it because it all clumped up on my hand from my hands being wet. But we got enough coating on all of the pieces. And once we were done, we placed all of our fish on a baking sheet with some parchment paper. And we did go ahead and spray this with some cooking spray. I did not put that on camera. Well, I did spray it with some olive oil cooking spray. Then we popped it in the oven at 400 degrees. This is how it looked after about 8 minutes in the oven, 8 to 10 minutes. We went ahead and took it out and flipped them over. And after we flipped all of the pieces over, we basically popped it back into the oven, sprayed it again with the cooking spray on the other half, and popped it back in the oven for like another 8 minutes. So 8 to 10 minutes on each side, depending on how your oven cooks at 400 degrees. And this is basically what your fish will look like after it comes out of the oven. We then hit it with some Cooking with the Thatown2 ranch seasoning. If you don't have any ranch seasoning, you can definitely use like a Hidden Valley ranch seasoning packet. Definitely use that same taste. And we let it cool off for about 3 to 4 minutes, enough for us to taste it. And this is what a close-up of our baked ranch salmon nuggets, or salmon bites, however you want to call it, how they looked. We went ahead and plated them up in a large bowl. I actually hit it with some additional ranch seasoning once I put it into the bowl. And the flavor on this came out great. That ranch flavor popped off well with the salmon. And the flavor on this was great. The nutritional yeast gave up that little cheesy bit of flavor with the almond flour. You don't taste the nuttiness of that almond flour at all on this. The flavor of the fish and everything else, all the seasonings really take over on this. We opened it up. This is what it looked like. And you can see how juicy this fish is. Even after cooling down, it didn't lose any moisture or anything. It didn't dry out at all. This was really delicious. I definitely plan on doing this again. I probably could have put this in our game day food series. I may redo it, but hope you guys enjoy this recipe. We also just topped it off with some ranch dressing and some additional dill on that. But hit us up in the comment section if you have any additional questions or comments. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. Welcome back, Towners. All right, to start off this recipe here, to make these mini pizzas, we have Mission Carb Balance low carb tortilla shells. We're going to use about 2 tortilla shells for this recipe. Each shell is 4 net grams of carbs per shell. We have our shell here, and we took out a glass cup and basically tried to squeeze out, push down through it to cut an indentation in it to cut out a circle pattern, but it wasn't working. The edge of the glass cup wasn't sharp enough, so we had to basically like rip it off. So we ended up getting a plastic cup that had a sharper edge around the tip, and that would made it a lot easier to cut out a complete circle in the tortilla shell. Depending on the size of your shell, you may get more rings out of it, but 6 was enough for what we were doing here, based off the size of these shells. After we cut off the tortilla shells, we got our cupcake liner and sprayed it with some olive oil cooking spray. Pushed down each one of our mini pizza shells into each one of the ramekin holes. And then we got out some tomato sauce and put about a spoonful into each one of our little pizza bowls. So after we filled them up with the tomato sauce, we then got out some mozzarella cheese. Feel free to use the cheese of your liking. We're using mozzarella here. Filled up each one of the shells with some cheese. Now you can add whatever toppings you like on yours. Here we just put down, we had some remaining leftover diced onions. We just put that on 2 of them. And then we've got some pepperoni slices, some mini pepperonis. We put that 2 of them on each one of our pizza shells. And then, we had to pull out the homies, put some jalapenos on about 3 of them. And then topped it off with some additional cheddar cheese so that it can melt over top. And that's it. Once you have the pizza made, we pop this into the oven at 425 for about 5 minutes just to get the cheese and the pepperonis and stuff to melt and cook through, and the jalapenos to cook. After they cook through, we then put the broiler on high for about 2 minutes just to brown up everything, and then they were good to go. This is how they looked after they came out of the oven. And once they cooled down a bit, we took a knife and just ran it around the sides of the cupcake liner. The only places that it kind of stuck at is the spots where cheese kind of stuck, or we didn't get it all the way inside the shell, so it kind of stuck to the side of the liner. So we had to scrape that around a bit just to get that off. But once it cooled off and the cheese melted up, it basically popped out really easy. This is how it looked. You can see it on all sides, and the mini pizza really held its shape well. It crisped up, especially if some of the pepperoni got along the side. That kind of helped with the grease to help crisp up the tortilla shell. But just toasting it first before, we didn't just go straight full blast of the broiler. And it held its shape well. Please try out this recipe. If you have any questions or comments, hit us up in the comment section below. And hope you guys enjoy this recipe. Enjoy. Welcome back, Towners. To start off with this dish, we have our cast iron skillet, and we added in some oil. Then we chopped up a large onion and added that to the pan. We sauteed that up for about 30 seconds or so over medium-high heat. While that was sauteing, we went ahead and chopped up 2 whole jalapenos. For the heat, we wanted to keep the seeds in, so we added we wanted all that flavor. So we added the jalapenos in, some of our homies, and I went ahead and sauteed that up as well. After we sweated that down a bit and it became translucent, after about a minute or 2, we went ahead and added in our ground beef. Basically added the ground beef. This is about close to 2 pounds, about a pound and 3/4, and just chopped all that up and just continued to break down that meat. And once it was all fully cooked, we went ahead and drained it, got all of the hamburger meat out of the pan, and then went ahead and drained the fat out. After we drained the fat from the pan, we added our hamburger meat back into the pan. Once it was back in, we went ahead and spread everything out, and now it was time to start to season it up. We went ahead and hit it with some kosher salt, some black pepper, some onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder, some paprika, cumin, and some oregano and some thyme. Oregano and basil. And then we went ahead and mixed all this in together. After we fully mixed everything up and got the seasonings well combined with the meat, it was now time to make our sauce. We went in and added in 1 can of tomatoes, as well as a can of diced tomatoes with green chilies, and then we added in another can of green chilies. I wanted to get that southwestern flavor deep into this dish. We then went ahead and added in 8 ounces of cream cheese, and went in and just stirred that into the meat. It's best to use a cream cheese room temperature, but this one, it was straight out of the refrigerator, so I just stirred it up into the meat and let the heat soften that up and let that go for about 30 seconds or so. Once that started to really cook in, we went in and added in some sour cream and then topped that off with some mozzarella cheese. Let that go for like 30 more seconds, and once everything was nice and softened up, we went ahead and stirred everything in, and everything broke down really well. You can see the cheesiness of everything melting together, sour cream and cream cheese melting and breaking down, and changing the color of our dish from the reddish brownish mixture from the meat and the tomatoes to this lighter color. The more sour cream you add to it, the lighter it will be, but the lightness of it really doesn't affect anything. It's just how you want your dish to look and present. But this was a nice flavor looking for us. You can add cheddar cheese if you like to it. We went ahead and just kept everything with the mozzarella. Once everything was mixed in together, let that cook for about another minute or so. And once everything was heated through and warmed, you're good to go. You're ready to serve this dish. You can see this is nice and cheesy, stringy. This was our final product. This is how the dish looked. It's still in the skillet at this point. It came together well. It's very quick to do. The longest time that you're really waiting for is the time to brown the meat. Everything else heats up pretty quickly. The onions, jalapenos, and the tomatoes and peppers, you're just basically adding those to it. We placed everything into a glass dish. This dish was held about, this is about a 2.5 quarts dish. This is a lot of sauce. I didn't realize how much sauce actually we made, how much dip. But this came out very nice. I really enjoyed this. We went ahead and hit it up with a quick little taste test. Dipped in some, you can use whatever finger foods or you want to dip with it. We went ahead and used some celery. We also tried it out with some pork rinds. You can use some carrots. If you're not doing keto or anything or low carb, you can definitely do tortilla chips, or you can go ahead and use some low carb wraps and fry those up. Or bake those up and use those as your chips. The taste of this came out very nice. You know, we have all the flavors and components of a taco recipe for the, the tomatoes, the jalapenos, onions, the taco seasoning mixture, sour cream, all that. You can definitely top this off with some salsa, but this tastes very much just like taco meat, which that's pretty much what it is, with all the extra cheese to it. But we had this just regular dipping it in and eating it. We also topped this off on some hot dogs. I mean, the flavor of this it kind of transforms a bit, even though it's Mexican flavored. It kind of reminds you a bit of a chili. It can definitely be used as a chili dog topping or anything like that. You can just use this for multiple things, not just using it just as a taco dip. But definitely try this recipe out, guys. I'm trying to figure out other ways that you can use it, but there's a plethora of different ways you can use this dip. Go ahead and try this recipe out. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to hit us up in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. All right, to start off this recipe, we have our chicken wings. We have about 25 wings here. We'll clean them off and we're going to pat them dry to remove all the moisture from them. We are going to bake these wings, so we want to get them dry as possible to get a good crust on them during the baking process. We cover them with about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and some pink Himalayan sea salt, as well as some black pepper. Then we just mixed everything together to get the oil coating on all of the wings to help crisp them up in the oven. We then put down our baking sheet with a raised rack on it to get good airflow all around it. And we placed all of our wings, spacing them out evenly on the rack. This is how they look before we place them in the oven. We're going to bake these at 425 degrees. This is how they looked at the 35-minute mark when we were flipping them over. And this was our final product. It took us about an hour to get here to this point. Now it's time to add all of the toppings. We put down a tablespoon of butter, some Duke's mayonnaise, and then we mixed all that together to get the mayonnaise to coat the wings. That's how all of our seasonings are going to stick to the wings. And then we popped in some of our cojita cheese. We poured that in and then shook that around the bowl. Some of the coating fell to the bottom, so we just added a little bit more to it. And then we added in some of our tahini seasoning. This is basically chili powder with lime added to it and citric acid. Then we dropped in some cilantro as well as some freshly diced jalapenos on everything and mixed that all together. And this here was our final product. The wings came out very nice. I really didn't know what to expect from the flavor wise of this, but using the mayonnaise as the base to help all of the seasoning stick to it, the cheese and the chili sauce with lime added a great punch to it. I actually forgot to add I had lime juice to add to it also. I didn't even need that because the lime in the tahini was strong enough to feel the need for that. So maybe if I added the lime, it may have been too acidity overpowering, even though I like lime juice, but it came out great. If anyone has any questions or comments, please let us know in the comment section below how you like these compared to the elote corn, if it's a good comparison. And thank you guys for watching. Please enjoy. All right, to start off with this, we started off with our string cheese. We removed them from their packaging, and you can do these whole if you want larger ones, but we decided to cut ours in half to make smaller cheese sticks. So cut them in half and place them in a bowl so that way we can start mixing and making our breading mixture. To mix our breading for these are going to be some pork rinds. You're going to take these and place them into a bowl, or you can put these in a bag and mix them up by crunching them up with your hands or using a rolling pin. But we decided to use a blender. It's a lot faster. Just make sure that you don't overfill it, or that you don't blend it up too much so that it turns into a paste. Once you see them kind of like fluttering around and moving freely, then you know they're done and crunched up. But you're going to place all of your breading into a bowl. And for the seasoning, we added some almond flour, coconut flour, and some Parmesan cheese. And then for the mixture, we added some salt, black pepper, some onion powder, garlic powder, some Italian seasoning, and some chili powder. Mix all that up together. And then we also cracked up 2 eggs and mixed that together to help the breading stick to the cheese sticks. So for the breading, you're going to dunk your cheese into the egg mixture and then coat it into the breading. The coating might not stick as well, so we did a double coating of that. We put it back into the egg and then into the cheese mixture, into the breadcrumbs, and then place that to the side. And we're going to do this with additional ones just so you can see the process. Now once you had all of your cheese sticks coated, this is what they look like on the plate. You're going to want to freeze these for at least 20 to 30 minutes, up to an hour, because the coating is going to be quite soft, so you want to firm it up so that it doesn't fall off. We had quite a lot of bread mixture left over, breadcrumbs and everything, so we also had some additional cauliflower. So I just got out 2 more eggs and scrambled those up, and then coated them into the bread mixture as well. The eggs stuck to the cauliflower quite well, so we only had to mix it in the breading one time to get a nice good coating on them. And this is basically what they look like. This is just one coating, so that the pork rind stuck really well to it. We also put that in the freezer for 30 minutes as well, so that way the coating can firm up on those. And now it's time to bake these. You can put these in the oven. We decided to put them in the air fryer. We sprayed the bottom of the air fryer so that they wouldn't stick, and then we also sprayed the top halves of them. We put these in there at 400 for 8 minutes. We probably should have did this for about 6 minutes, or either did it at a lower temperature, but just check yours around the 6-7 minute mark. Once you start to see the cheese bust out, you know that they're done. And this is what our final product looked like. It had a nice good coating on it, and as you can see, this was after resting for about 5 or 10 minutes. The cheese still got a great cheese pull on that. These reheat well. They were able to reheat it in the microwave if they get too cold or cool off enough, and they store well in the refrigerator. But these didn't make it to the refrigerator. Now it's time to cook the cauliflower. We also sprayed the bottom of the pan as well, and then loaded up the air fryer. We cooked these at about 350 for 15 minutes. After the 15-minute mark, we checked them to make sure, see if they were done or not. I felt like they needed about a total of 25 to 30 minutes on them. But after they were done, while they were cooking, we started to make our wing sauce. We took half a stick of butter and half a cup of hot sauce and mixed that together. And then we wanted lemon pepper flavor, so added some lemon pepper seasoning to it. And you're basically going to heat this up until it combines. And I wanted it to be a little bit thick, so I let it go for about 2 to 3 minutes, so that way it can reduce a little bit. This is what our cauliflower looked like once it came out of the air fryer. Had a nice good coating on it, and it stuck well to it. Once we got all of our cauliflower wings out, we then poured in our wing sauce and tossed all of our wings. And this is how they came out. These look great. You really can't tell that these aren't wings just from the naked eye. They are a little bit softer if you're just picking up and touching them, but the taste was great. Tastes just like hot wings. Mother-in-law tasted the mozzarella sticks. She said those actually taste like chicken. She couldn't tell the difference in them at all. But this is the recipe. Hope you guys try it out. If you guys have any questions or comments or any other ways to make this, please let us know in the comment section. And as always, enjoy. All right, guys, to start off this recipe, we have our chicken wings here. This is about 20 wings that we have. They're some individually frozen wings that we got from Walmart. We basically defrosted them and then patted them dry to get all the excess moisture off of the wings so that all our seasonings can stick to it and get as crispy as we can get them in the oven. We season this very simply with some kosher salt and some black pepper. And then to that, we added in some arrowroot flour. It may be called arrowroot flour or starch, depending on where you're at. And then we also added in a splash of olive oil. We then combined and coated all those ingredients together. It's going to make like a smooth, nice little paste out of the arrowroot flour with olive oil. We then took a greased baking sheet, which I should have greased a little bit more, but took a greased baking sheet and then aligned all of our wings evenly on the sheet. You can use a raised rack if you have that also to help get all over the wings cooking. Then we pop that in the oven at 400 degrees for about an hour. You can do it at 400 or 425 degrees, either or. Just flip them and check them halfway. This is what our wings look like at a halfway point. You can see it's a little bit sticking on the flipping process, but it's perfectly fine. And then we popped them back in the oven to finish cooking. While that was being done, we then started to work on our sauce. We took some butter, and to that we added in some hot sauce. And then we seasoned that up with some onion powder, garlic powder, and some of our Cooking with Thatown2 lemon and garlic seasoning. The lemon and garlic seasoning, it has lemon pepper, garlic powder, basil, oregano, thyme, and parsley. I just added some additional onion powder and additional garlic powder to it to enhance that flavor on the wings. We then put the lid back on top of them and let them simmer on low for a little bit, and just turn the heat off after once it started boiling, they were done. Once our wings were finished, we took about half of the wings, this is 10 of the wings here, put them into a bowl, and when they're fresh out of the oven, it's still hot, still have the oils on them, we then season that simply with our Cooking with Thatown2 ranch seasoning. Very simple recipe, just toss them while they're hot, and all the coating will stick to it. Our Cooking with Thatown2 seasoning has garlic powder, onion powder, parsley, dill, salt, pepper, and some citric acid to it. And no fillers, no nothing like that, no extra ingredients, just straight seasonings. And this is how the wings looked after tossing in the ranch seasoning, fully coated. It has a ranch powder and seasoning all over it. Now here is the second batch, the remaining 10 wings. We took our wing sauce that we had warming on the stove and poured that right over top, fresh out of the oven, and then tossed them. We didn't have to use a lot of the sauce. We're doing 10 wings. If we were doing more, we could have used more of it, but any of the remaining sauce that you have, you can basically add back to the pot if you know you're going to be using this strictly for wings. After we coated the wings, we then sprinkled in a little bit more of our lemon and garlic seasoning over top of that for additional flavor, as well as you can see the seasoning throughout the wings. Toss them a little bit more and they're done. Those are good to go. This is our final product of the wings. We have our ranch seasoning wings towards the bottom, the lemon garlic wings towards the top, and The ranch wings, I got this idea from Walmart. I don't know if you have a Walmart in the area where the deli is, they have wings there, and they have a ranch seasoned wings there, which I really like. So I wanted to try to make them myself at home, and these taste really good. They're not fried or anything. They're all baked, so healthier for you and everything. But you can definitely do this fried, same process. Just season them right out of the fryer. The crunch on these are very nice. Nice crunch on them, nice seasoning, nice taste. No issues and no problems with that. Here is a close-up again of our ranch wings, where you can see the ranch seasoning flavor all throughout it. Nice texture on the skin there, crispy. And here is a close-up of our hot lemon garlic wings, and you can still see the seasoning and flavor throughout that one as well, and nice crispiness on those, even though the hot sauce will bring down the crispiness of them a little bit, but they're still crispy. If anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. All right, to start off, we start off with some chicken wings, and we season this with some salt, pepper, some onion powder, garlic powder, and some baking soda. And then we mixed all these ingredients together to get a coating on the wings. We then also added some olive oil to help with crisping up the wings in the oven, because we're going to bake these. Then we took a baking sheet with a raised grate on it, and we placed all of the wings onto the cooking grate. We wanted it on a raised grate so that way we can get airflow around it, so we can crisp all sides up of the wings, and none of the chicken wings will be sitting in it of its grease or fat. We got about 17 wings out of this batch. We baked them in the oven at 425 degrees. I originally planned on cooking these for about 40 minutes, so this was how they looked at the 20-minute mark when I took them out to flip them. But they ended up taking about an hour to cook, so I cooked mine for 425 at an hour. Just continue to start checking them after the 40-minute mark, just to make sure they don't burn or anything. Then we started to make our sauce. We took some green onions and chopped that up. And then we took some whole garlic, about 4 or 5 garlic cloves, and chopped that up and cut that into pieces. And you know me, jalapenos on everything. We chopped up a jalapeno as well. We then took our pan, added some olive oil to it, and then we added some crushed red peppers. Cooked that for a few minutes, or for a few seconds, I should say. And then we added in our garlic. Cooked garlic for about 10 to 15 seconds, enough for it to turn tannish brown. We didn't want to burn it or anything. And then we added in our jalapenos as well as our green onions. We cooked this down for about a good 30 seconds just to soften up the vegetables, so that we can add them to our wings when they're done. This is how the sauce looked after we finished. We added some garlic chili oil and mixed that in, right about a tablespoon of that. And that was all for the sauce. This is how our wings came out after they were done in the oven. You can see the crispiness that we have on the wings, and they have a nice color to them as well. We then added our sauce paste to the wings, and also we added some additional kosher salt to it. We added our sauce to the wings and then tossed them to coat them. Now, if you want, you could leave yours in the oven and bake them a little bit longer if you want, just to get them a bit more crunchy and crispier. When you coat it in this sauce, due to it be the sauce being a wet sauce, it will take away a bit from the crunch of the wings. But if that doesn't bother you, which it didn't bother me at all, you can leave it just like this. The flavor in there was great. And this is how our wings looked after they were finished and ready to eat. The spice there that came out of it was good. It did have a kick from the red pepper flakes and the jalapenos that we added. So if you don't want that, you may want to either de-seed the jalapenos or just add less red pepper flakes. Add some green peppers or anything. But this tasted just like it came from the Chinese restaurant, from the hot and spicy wings that you get there. If anyone wants to try this recipe out, please do. Let me know in the comments below if you have this or if you have any other way of making this. And as always, please enjoy. All right, guys. To start off this recipe here, we have some party wings. This was a 10-pound bag of wings. Well, the bag was labeled as party wings, but these wings were huge. Only about 50 wings came in the whole 10-pound bag. I thought it'd be a lot more because they were party wings, and party wings are normally smaller. But we went ahead and defrosted those wings and seasoned them up with the usual seasonings: salt, pepper, onion, garlic powder, chili powder, paprika, and some lemon pepper seasoning. Then we went ahead and mixed all the seasoning up to combine that and coat the chicken. This is what our chicken looked like after it came, after we finished seasoning it up. We then went ahead and went to the fryer, pulled out the turkey fryer again, and heated up the peanut oil to about 375. And then we slowly dropped in our chicken wings into the grease. You can see a lot of steam coming up out of that, making it kind of a little hard to see. So I was kind of like moving my head around just to make sure that the grease didn't get too high before we dropped it in. But after we dropped it in, we went ahead and closed the lid. And I'm going to show you this little clip here at the top left. This is a clip of me dropping some wings in. I think this was around New Year's Eve. And the wings were frozen, which wasn't a problem, but I basically just dropped them in too fast. I was used to the heat coming off of the fryer because of previously cooking the turkey and previously cooking the ham, but I needed a glove. If I would have had a glove on when I dropped these in, because it has a hook on it, so it keeps you a little bit away from the heat, but the steam that came off of these wings from the moisture from them being frozen was really hot. And that basically just got to me, and I just had to let them go and let them drop in, and that's when it pretty much overflowed. I pulled it out really quickly, but no messes. I mean, well, a big mess, but no injuries or anything. But I just wanted to play that clip to let you know, hey, just make sure you go very, very slow when dropping them in, frozen or not. Here we are taking the wings out. We basically cooked them at the highest temp that this will go to is 375. We cooked them for about 15 minutes. And this is how our wings looked after they came out. We went ahead and made a hot lemon pepper seasoning sauce. Here's another clip of that. I didn't record that, but here's a clip of basically the seasoning is basically butter, hot sauce, onion powder, garlic powder, and some lemon pepper seasoning. And that's basically it. Heat that up. Once it all comes to a boil, you can take it off the heat. We basically just pour that over top of our wings. And then we went ahead and tossed them to coat them to get the seasoning and flavor all throughout all of the wings. The coating of this, the hot sauce coated the wings very nice. Coming out of the fryer and putting the hot sauce on it kind of takes away a bit of the crunch. So if you can get a good fry and a good crisp on them, the coating is going to soften it up a bit, but that's perfectly fine. You got a lot of flavor from that. The seasoning that we seasoned it with previously, before we fried it, we didn't do just salt and pepper. We added some additional, onion powder, garlic powder, all that. So the wings were well seasoned, and the hot sauce, wing sauce that we added to it, the lemon pepper and hot sauce and butter, that just basically added some more additional flavor to that. And here we are doing a taste test of the wings. You can see a close-up of it. Nice coating, nice color, seasoning, well seasoned all throughout. Here we are. We're wearing Raider gear here. This was during the Super Bowl. This is basically, I'm calling this a Super Bowl series because pretty much all the food that we had the last few days posted. This was all the food that we had and cooked during the Super Bowl. Even though my team didn't make it, the Raiders, still got a rep. Still got to show my team colors. But here we are again with the previous foods that we had: the meatballs, the hot mini sweet peppers, and the tomato feta sauce. I hope you guys like these recipes and like this food. If you guys have any comments or questions, as always, please leave them in the comment section below. Let me know if you have any recommendations or any other information you'd like to provide, and if you've made any recipes, how you like them or anything. But thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. All right, guys, to start off this recipe, we have our baking tray. We line that with some aluminum foil and some cooking spray for easy cleanup. And we put down a whole bag of frozen meatballs. This was beef meatballs, and we're basically just going to pop these in the oven at the recommendations from the bag, which was 350 for 20 to 25 minutes. We then use some Smucker's sugar-free peach preserves and put in some peach preserves into our pan with some cooking spray. To that, we added in a tablespoon of orange extract, some sliced jalapenos, as well as some green onions. And then we added in some water to that and began to simmer that down. You can also, if you're not doing keto or anything, you can also use orange juice for this. We just didn't want to use orange juice for the sugar-free version of it, so we use orange extract and put in some water to mimic our orange juice for that. And go ahead and just continue to cook this and reduce this sauce down. You want to continue stirring it up so that nothing sticks to it and that the sauce thins out, because it's pulpy and has a lot of the peach flavoring in there. So you want to just keep mixing that up until it smooths out. Once the meatballs are done, you can add the meatballs to the pan and just continue to cook and mix that up. You basically want to simmer that for about a good minute or two, just to allow the flavors from the sauce to fully incorporate into the meat. But they're done, so you're not really going to be cooking this through or anything. You just want to let it cook and simmer in that flavor just to help that flavor penetrate the meat. But after that minute or two is up, you can take it off and place it to a bowl and plate it. You can pour the excess sauce over top of that, and we just top this off with some additional green onions and sliced jalapenos for garnishing. These meatballs, they came out very good just the simple ingredients that we added to it, just the peach preserves, green onions and jalapenos, and the orange liqueur. That's basically it. It's a very quick meal to make. Flavor, again, it came out great. You got the meatballs by itself had a nice flavor to it, so they didn't need any additional seasoning to them. No salt or pepper was needed to that. That, along with the sweetness from the peach reserves and the spiciness from the jalapenos that was added to it, this was right up my alley. If anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching.
Alright guys, to start off this recipe, we have our baking tray. We put down some aluminum foil, sprayed that with some cooking spray for easy release. Then we laid out our package of frozen meatballs. These are some beef meatballs. We popped these in the oven and cooked them towards the directions from the package, which was 350 degrees for 25 minutes. While that was cooking, we started to make our sauce. This sauce is made with some unsalted butter. To that, we added in some arrowroot flour, and we mixed those ingredients together to start to make a quick little roux. Once that was combined and smoothed out and no more lumps from the arrowroot flour, we then tempered in some beef stock, and we just continued to mix and combine that all together, scraping the bottom because it started to thicken up and stick to the bottom of the pan a little bit. Because as long as you continue to mix and stir, that'll release and help thicken up the sauce. We then added in some heavy whipping cream and continued the same process to continue to stir and mix that ingredient up. And we just kept mixing that up in order to allow the heavy whipping cream mixture to thicken up and make our sauce for the meatballs. Once this slowly comes to a boil, just continue. It's going on a low simmer. Just continue to mix and mix and mix. You're just stirring this whole time. Again, still no whisk, guys. We season this up with some salt, some black pepper, parsley, and some dill. And then once our meatballs were out of the oven, we took them out and added them to our sauce mixture as well. And here we just let this cook on a low simmer for an additional 1 to 2 minutes. Here we're just basically allowing the sauce to thicken and coat the meat and let that flavor penetrate the meat a bit more than just the regular flavor that was in the meatballs. Once the meatballs and sauce was complete, we took it out and plated it and poured the sauce over top of our meatballs. And then we topped it off with some additional parsley as well as some additional dill. And the outcome of this was very nice. The sauce thickened up a lot as it sat. It got a little bit more thicker as it cooled off, and was able to coat the meatballs really well. The flavors came through nice. We really didn't need to flavor that much. As you see, we only put a little bit amounts of salt and pepper in there. The flavor from the meatballs, again, the meatballs had a nice, these were some Italian meatballs that we purchased, and they were seasoned quite well just to be frozen meatballs. You could actually just eat them as is, straight out of the oven. I tasted a couple of them and they tasted fine by themselves. So they had a nice flavor from that. But the butter and the sauce carried itself finally. The sauce, you could taste the butter throughout, so that was a nice component to it. And the dill and parsley added a nice flavor to it as well. I really like this recipe. Didn't have any heat to it, but it worked fine. Anyone has any comments or questions about these Swedish meatballs, please leave in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy.
Welcome back, Towners. All right, to start off this recipe here, we have some mini sweet peppers. We have about 5 sweet peppers here, 5 or 6. This is going to be basically equal up to about a fourth of a cup of sweet peppers. Just went in and diced those up finely. Then we put out 2 of our homies. We got to get some jalapenos in there. So we went ahead and chopped up the jalapeno. We did a rough chop on this. Probably should have went fine on this. You'll see later that the jalapenos are kind of poking in and out of the meatball. So a nice fine chop would have maybe done a little bit better, but it still worked out fine. We then took a bunch of parsley and chopped off the stems of it, and then just cut off all the leaves, chopped all that up, and then added all this to a bowl. Now, went ahead and pulled out a can of petite diced tomatoes. We were out of Roman tomatoes or anything, so we just went ahead and used what we got. You gotta use what you got all the time. So we just went ahead and used the diced tomatoes here in a can. Then we added in about 2 pounds of ground turkey. Then it was time to start seasoning everything up. We went ahead and hit this with some kosher salt, some black pepper, the rest of the usual ingredients, onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder, paprika. And we also went ahead and added in some Italian seasoning to that. After we added in the Italian seasoning, we went ahead and cracked in an egg. And at that point, we had all of our seasoning in. We just went ahead and started to mix and started to combine all these ingredients up. We had a lot of stuff in this bowl, so wanted to get the mixing process started. Then we went ahead and added in some almond flour as well as some Parmesan cheese. And this is pretty much everything that we needed to add to it. So we went ahead and just started to mix all this together. Basically wanted to get all of the ingredients combined, as well as to get all the almond flour and Parmesan cheese fully combined, so it's not gritty or anything, no loose granules anywhere in the bowl. Once we got all that combined, we went ahead and took our jalapenos and placed those pretty much on the top half of it. We're going to just slowly incorporate those into our meatballs. Took out a baking tray and sprayed it with some aluminum foil just for easy cleanup and so that nothing would stick to it, and started to roll our meatballs up. We put in before we started to roll our meatballs, we put in about 2 tablespoons of oil, olive oil on top of the meatballs, and that really helped us with rolling the meatballs up. It didn't gum up or any of it, didn't stick to my hands or anything. It just really rolled off fine, so it was easy to roll these meatballs. And we just slowly, randomly just grabbed some of the jalapenos that we set on top to form them. So some of them would have jalapenos in them, some of them don't, but it was easier for me to manage them with just putting them on the side as opposed to just mixing them in with everything, because my kids and my wife might eat some of them, so I didn't want to burn their mouths or anything. It'd be too hot for them. But we went ahead and made all of our meatballs. We were able to get about 40 or so meatballs out of this mixture. We went ahead and popped that in the oven at 350 degrees. And we let that go for about 55 minutes. Nice, low and slow. It didn't dry out or anything. You can see all of the fat that came out of the meatballs. We let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes after it came out of the oven. Some of that fat congealed at the bottom of the pan, but they still came off easy release from the pan. Here's a close-up of one of the meatballs. Went ahead and opened it up. You can see nice, juicy inside, still flavorful, not dried out or anything. You can see like the large chunks of jalapeno inside the meatball. Some of them they're just actually just sticking out the side. So that's why I said I think it would have been better if I would have did a fine chop on the jalapenos. Doesn't bother me at all. It actually helped with me noticing and picking out which one of the meatballs had jalapenos in them, so that way I could better not give them to my kids or anything. Even though I'm still trying to slowly incorporate jalapenos into them to help build their palate up, to get them to eat. My son, every now and then he likes jalapenos, but every now and then he'll be like, it's too hot. My daughter, she just ain't having it. But here's a close-up of our meatballs. You can see all of the flavor. You can't see the flavor, but you can see all the ingredients all throughout. The parsley, the tomatoes, everything in here. I was surprised how well the tomatoes held up. I thought they would turn to mush or anything being diced from the can, but they worked out well. Now we're gonna hit you guys up with a taste test. Welcome back, Towners. We got our turkey meatballs here. Here we go. Here's a close-up of, actually, go this way. Here's a close-up of one of the ones with jalapenos in it. And these came out nice. Quick and easy to make. Basically, it's kind of like a mini meatloaf. A lot of all the stuff that we have stuffed inside of these. A lot of flavor. Stay juicy. Got some jalapenos and mini sweet peppers in there. I didn't have any onions, so I just used onion powder. I didn't have any onions or green onions. I would have used either one of those, but I just went ahead and just used onion powder. No biggie. If you don't have something, you can still make the dish without one of the main ingredients. You can make something else to make up for that. But these meatballs are good. I'm gonna try this over some marinara sauce or something, or you know what I do? I might use some lettuce wraps and make a meatball sub out of this. These things are good. Bottom half, I didn't flip them over. I just kept them on one side the whole way through. So the bottom half doesn't have that much color on them, but they're cooked all the way through. Yeah, these are good. These are good. I'm gonna knock these out. Try these out. Turkey meatballs. Now that was our taste test, guys. Like I said, these meatballs came out great. Hope you try this recipe out. Feel free to add whatever ingredients that you like to fill your meatballs with to help keep it full and flavorful. If you have any questions or comments, as always, please feel free to hit us up in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. Welcome back, guys. Today we are making avocado jalapeno poppers. We started out with one whole avocado that we sliced down the middle and took the core out, the seed. Then we took a spoon and scooped out all the flesh into a bowl. To that, we added some cream cheese. Make sure your cream cheese is softened. It'll help with the mixing process. We then added to that some salt and pepper, some onion powder, garlic powder, and our cheese. We had a mixture of cheddar and mozzarella. We then took a spoon a fork and combined all these ingredients. Make sure again that your cream cheese is soft. The softer it is, the easier it'll be to combine this. But even if it isn't, it'll still mix up and become this smooth, creamy consistency that you see here. We then took our knife and cut our jalapenos in half. And then we took a spoon and cored out the insides. The one avocado that we had and the cream cheese amount, this basically filled up about 6 jalapenos. So basically for each half, you get about 12 of them. But you can easily double the recipe if you want to make more or need to make more of them. And it's also, if you want to be a bit more hotter, you can add
or leave in the seeds. I did on a bit of some of them, but you can also just add the seeds to the cream cheese filling mixture. We then lined them in a row and realized that I also would need to transfer them to a baking sheet, so I just did that. And then we put our avocado mixture into a bag because I didn't have a piping bag and it'd be easier to spoon in. Snipped off the tip and then basically just squeezed the filling into all of the jalapenos. We then topped off the jalapenos with some more cheese. And we placed in the oven at about 350 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. Start checking it around the 10-minute mark to make sure you don't want to brown it. You just basically want to get the jalapeno soft enough to eat, so they won't be crunchy or anything like that. This was our final product. They came out great. Jalapenos were nice and had a bit of a spice kick to it. I could have added more seeds for my liking, but they came out great. The avocado added a different texture to it that you normally get from the cream cheese filling, but it was, not a different texture. It was actually more creamier, but it added that avocado taste to it if you like that, which I do. But I would definitely be trying these again and more likely doubling the recipe or possibly adding bacon or anything else to it. But I hope you guys like this recipe out. Please let me know in the comments below if you've tried it out or if you feel like trying it. Today we're making some keto fried chicken tenders. We started out pouring our seasonings onto the chicken. This is a mixture of seasonings that I put together: salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder, paprika, lemon powder, cumin, and some Italian seasonings. I have some other seasonings that I'm gonna mix up. Let me guys know if you guys are interested in seasonings. I might start slanging some of these seasonings out. We've got some different blends for chicken, steak, ribs, some spicy ones, as you know, like that heat. Some for Mexican food. Different seasonings available. Just let me know in the comments below if you're interested in that. To that, we added some zero carb whey protein and some sparkling soda, basically clear sparkling water, and mixed all this together to form a paste around the chicken for our breading. After we got all that mixed up, we let this chicken sit for about 10 to 15 minutes to make it for sure that it's fully coated. Now, this was a trick that I saw online recently, a way to get the tendon out of the chicken tenders. You basically take a napkin and grip onto the tender that's exposed. Same way that you would do if you're trying to take off the silver skin on some ribs or in the backside of the bone. But you basically grip the tendon with the napkin and you put it in between a fork and just push down on it. And once you get it right, sometimes it's be a bit slippery, but once you get a good grip on it and pull down with the fork, it comes off very easy and just slides right off. Sometimes you may have to find a tendon in the chicken and kind of cut it out to expose that piece. But once you get that off, you can you'll be able to eat the whole chicken tender. And sometimes you get the chicken tender and you get that little piece where it's just chewy or hard. You're like, man, what is this inside the chicken? That's the tendon. But once you pull that out, it's boneless meat anyway, but it's easier to eat. Now it's time to fry the chicken, and it was in a ball, so we basically pulled each piece off one by one and put it into the chicken and started the frying process. We had the heat at about medium to medium high. We didn't want it to cook too high to overcook the outside of the chicken before the inside got done. Now some people may want to have a thicker crust or double coated or double breaded. That can still be done. If you want, you can take an egg and add that to the mixture and then recoat the chicken again in some more whey protein. Or with the batter that we had being wet enough, you could just use a second batter, add more whey protein, or you can use some if you're not doing keto, you can use breadcrumbs, but if you are keeping it keto, You can use pork rinds. You can use Parmesan cheese. Multitude of things you can use to get the additional grating on it. But after the chicken was halfway done, we flipped it, and then we pulled off when it's finished cooking. Took that batch out, and basically doing the exact same thing with the second batch, and putting that in the grease now. Once halfway done, about 5 to 6 minutes, we were able to flip it. And then once the back half was done, we pulled that chicken out as well. Now this was our final product. Chicken came out very crispy, still juicy. It wasn't overcooked or anything. Nice seasoning on all of the pieces. Now we served this on the previous video. I'll have the link of it above that you see. It looks like that waffle. That is a cauliflower macaroni and cheese waffle, and they were amazing. We had it with the chicken. And so I was like, hey, we got chicken and waffles. Let's try to pour some syrup over top of it, and that was a winner also. Didn't expect the chicken to work well with the syrup to work well with the macaroni and cheese also, but it did. If you guys would like this recipe, please try it out. Please let me know in the comments how you liked it. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. All right, guys, to start off this recipe, we have our bell peppers here. We have a yellow bell pepper and a green bell pepper. And we're basically just going to slice them up into strips. We also took out a yellow onion and sliced that up as well into strips, likewise similar sized pieces. And then we took out some Italian sausage. Basically took a knife and butterflied them down the middle. I did this in my hand so that way I can cut through it and not cut all the way through it, so that it would be two pieces. I wanted it to stay whole. Just do it in your hand, cut it through slowly. You'll feel when the knife gets towards the bottom of the sausage so that it doesn't go all the way through, and just stop right there. Then you can pull it apart. We then pulled out our griddle for the stovetop and topped with some olive oil. Then laid in our veggies. When I put this on, I was like, this reminds me of like the Brazilian flag or the Jamaican flag, just due to the color combo. I didn't use any red peppers or anything. But we laid it out over high heat and seasoned it with some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and some Italian seasoning. And just pushed that off to the side. We have the grill set up that this covers two burners. So at the top, which is technically the left side of the screen, I just turned the burner off and left the burner at the bottom, which is the right side of the screen, on high, so that way that will just further continue to heat the pan and just leave so that the onions and peppers on top just don't burn and get too soft and mushy, just being on the heat constantly. So after the sausages had cooked enough on one side, I basically just flipped them over and lined them up so that way I can get them all in a row, and top them off with all of the onions and peppers and let them steam over top of the meat, and then continue to cook the rest of the bottom half. I didn't have a bowl large enough to cover all of the sausages, so I didn't get a chance to get any steaming of it or anything, top everything off. But we put down some of our homies, jalapenos on everything, you know it. And basically also grilled some tomatoes, put those over top of it, and then put down some cheese. Again, I couldn't dome it so it didn't get enough to melt all the way that I wanted it to, but it's perfectly fine. After it was fully cooked, we just scraped everything off. I wanted to get all those little bits and pieces off because that's flavor. Took everything off and let it just cool, and the cheese continued to melt from being on top of the meat and hot veggies. And this is our final product. It looks like a mess, looks like slop, but flavors are there. It was great. The sausages had the Italian sausage flavor that just tastes good on its own. That being topped off with the onions and peppers, grilled onions and peppers with the seasoning, and the tomato slices. Got our spice from the jalapenos. This came out great. Here we are with a little overhead shot. Got our jalapenos on the side. Cutting it up. This can be served like just as your protein source, or you could do this with some cauliflower rice. We basically have this with a salad, and you can chop up the meat and chop it up and use it in the salad as well, or just have it off to the side. But this recipe came out great. Try to find out some more different variations of what I can do with this or make with it, or what can be paired with it. But if anyone has any comments, questions, any additional information they'd like to provide to us, let us know in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy.
All right, guys, to start off this recipe here, we have a bowl. We added in about 1.5 bricks of cream cheese. It's about 12 ounces. Then we added in 1/2 cup of Colby Jack cheese and 1/2 cup of mozzarella cheese. And then we added in some bacon bits. That's going to be basically the filling for our poppers. We set that to the side. Pulled out some of our homies here. We have 2 jalapenos and 1 serrano pepper. And we just went ahead and chopped those up, diced them up, scooped them all up and placed them into a bowl with the rest of our filling ingredients. We then went ahead and seasoned that up with some onion powder, some garlic powder, some black pepper, and a little bit of kosher salt. Then we tried to mix this mixture up, but my spatula wasn't doing nothing. So went ahead and just popped that in the microwave for about 30 seconds to soften up the cream cheese a little bit more. And then went ahead and mixed to combine everything together. Now we're going to start working on our peppers. These are mini sweet peppers. The kinds you get in a bag, just a mixture of red, yellow, and orange mini bell peppers. So we went ahead and just basically took a knife and cut off this stem, the top half of them, and then just sliced them all right down the middle. After we did that, we basically just went ahead and brought these over to the sink and took a spoon and just cored out the inside of the peppers. Took out all the membrane and all the seeds out of it, just came out very easy. And then just rinsed them all off and cleaned up all of the seeds and everything from them. And here we are, we're just basically fast forwarding the rest of the process of cleaning up the rest of the peppers. We had about a total of 24 peppers. I believe this was about a bag and a half because they come in a small, like 1 pound bag. Just make as many as you need, and go ahead and start that process. Now we had all our peppers cleaned up, and this is back to our filling. We took this and just basically scooped it all and placed it into a Ziploc bag, and took some scissors. You can use scissors or a knife, and you cut a small incision on the bottom of them, so that way this can be an easy way for us to add the mixture into our peppers. Now here we are going into the process of placing the peppers placing the filling onto the peppers. I thought that it would come out a little bit smoother, but my filling was a bit thick, so it had a little bit of a hard time basically just being spread from the bag. I could have basically popped it in the microwave to soften it up a bit more for about 15 to 20 seconds, but it was already in a plastic bag, so I didn't want that to get too thin or bust or anything. I also could have just possibly added some sour cream to it to thin it out a bit, but we just went ahead and worked with what we had. So I just scooped out some dollops of the filling and placed them into all of the peppers, and then just took a spoon and smoothed them out and just basically pushed them into all of the cracks and crevices of the peppers, and then just flattened it out with the back half of the spoon to fill up our peppers. Once they were all done, we just took them and just lined them all up on our baking tray. We did put them on a lined baking tray, raised tray. And this is what all of our peppers look like, all halved and all filled. We went ahead and popped these into the oven at 400 degrees. We cooked these for about 20-25 minutes. Just start washing them after the 15-minute mark. You can pretty much go however long you want after the 15-20 minute mark. How dark you want them. Don't worry about the filling, the cream cheese filling. It's not going to burn. It'll blacken up a bit to crisp up in some spots, but it's not going to burn or like burn to a crisp or anything. Once your peppers are to a softness that you like, you're pretty much good to go. Here's what all of our peppers look like. Took some pictures of them. You can see we have some of the jalapenos sprinkled all throughout the filling. The filling came out very nice. We seasoned them up nice with the salt and pepper, onion and garlic powder, and added the jalapenos to them and bacon bits. So basically just some loaded mini sweet peppers. Here we are doing a taste test of them. You can see the inside of the filling, and the peppers were nice and soft. These are really good. Not as hot as a regular jalapeno popper would be because of the fact that we're just using the mini sweet peppers to do that. So they're very toned down. You can definitely have these at a party. We've actually made these. This was we were watching the Superbowl for this, and this was some of the appetizers that we had for the Superbowl. And this came out very nice. Not as hot. If you wanted to add them a little bit hotter, you can just add some more jalapenos or use either some hotter peppers. Or add some hot sauce to it, or just use a regular jalapeno as a filling as opposed to, because we did chop some up. So this is a nice, good recipe to go to. Go ahead and check and try this out if you guys like. If you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy.
All right, to start this recipe off, we started off with some garlic. We had about 4 cloves of garlic that we chopped up and finely chopped it. And then we went to our jalapenos. We had 3 large jalapenos and chopped them up finely. This equaled out to about a cup of jalapenos. If you don't want that much jalapenos to it, you can add less, or you can devein them so that they won't be as spicy. But these weren't really that spicy. Once we cooked everything up, once we mixed everything together and tasted it before we popped it in the oven, it was quite spicy. But after it came out of the oven, the heat definitely mellowed it down a bit, so it wasn't as spicy. But you can lower the amount if you need so. Some people ask why you put so many jalapenos in things that you cook, and I'll be like, because I like it. It's my mouth. It's my taste buds. Don't let nobody tell you, hey, don't do that, or don't add that, or you shouldn't try that. It's your taste buds. Do what you like. You're the one who has to eat it, and you can make any changes or any variations to any of these recipes. You can add more, you can add less. It's your recipe after you start making it. Enough with that jalapeno rant. Jalapenos on everything. But then we went to our spinach, chopped that up. We had about 3 cups of spinach after we finished chopping everything up. And then we added our chopped garlic and jalapenos back to it. Some mayonnaise, sour cream, and then some softened cream cheese. And then finally our mozzarella cheese that was already shredded. We mixed all that together. And then it was time to add our seasonings to it. We added some salt and some cracked black pepper and onion powder. We didn't have to add any garlic powder because we already added the whole garlic to it previously. But if you don't have garlic, you can also use garlic powder. And then for some color and additional flavor, we added in some chopped Roma tomatoes. We then mixed all that together and we got our greased baking pan and sprayed it with some cooking spray. Just grease it just in case. The cheese in this probably would have helped it to not stick, but just for easy cleanup, we just sprayed it anyway. Placed our spinach dip into the pan and then topped it off with some additional mozzarella cheese, cheddar cheese, and some grated Parmesan cheese. We popped that in the oven at 350 for 35 minutes. And this is how it came out of the oven. I wanted it a bit darker, so we popped it under the broiler for about 2 minutes, and this is how it came out. Now, are you the type of person that'll cut right out the middle and start a fight at a party or something? Or come from the corner or the sides? So we scooped out a bit of the corner and placed it into an additional ramekin. And we wanted to, I played around with this little piece that we cut out of the side. I topped this ramekin off and with some additional cheese and some bacon and put that under the broiler. And this is how that came out. And this was great. Once this is done again, I would definitely add bacon over the whole thing, or half of it, enough where I can get, or if anybody else doesn't want bacon, but bacon added to it is definitely a good addition to it. Got that cheese pool going on here. But this is the recipe. We tried this with I had some pork rinds, didn't have any celery or anything like that, keeping it keto friendly. But you can also eat this with crackers, tortilla chips, or anything you like. Please try this recipe out. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, please enjoy.
All right, guys. To start out this recipe here, we have our rib tips. We have about 2.5 to 3 pounds of rib tips here. The rib tips are basically the top half of a spare rib. Basically, they cut that portion off and basically turn it into a baby back rib. And this is the part that's basically left over. You can see the bone pattern along the strip of the rib, and you basically just take your knife and just cut in between each one to cut your sections up. You can do these in a 1 or 2 bone pattern. If you have a second bone, you'll have basically just more to bite into in between them. But we season this up with some kosher salt, black pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. and went ahead and mixed that all together. Here's a close-up of what the rib tips look like before we put them in the air fryer. For the air fryer, we just went ahead and just dumped them all into the air fryer. Don't worry about having to layer them or making sure they all touch or anything. They'll cook perfectly fine. This is what it looked like after the 10-minute mark. Here we just basically just shook the whole basket. Just continue to shake it up until you saw the ones on the bottom come to the top, so that way any of the one that still had pink on them, just move them around, and popped it back in the air fryer to let it continue cooking. I also did that again at the 5-minute mark just to shake it up a bit more. The air fryer does come with a metal rack that you can layer and put stuff on the top, but at a higher element. But I didn't want to put anything up there because I didn't want it to be too close to the heating source and possibly brown or burn for being cooked in there for about 20 minutes. Now here we are taking them out of the air fryer. We used some tongs to take them out because there was a lot of liquid that came out from the rib tips, a lot of fat rendered out of them. And so I didn't want to dump or pour them out into the bowl. So I just took them out with the tongs. Here's a close-up of what one of the rib tips look like. You can see the meat pulled back from the bone a bit, and nice color on the rib tips. You can also see the seasoning all throughout it, just the salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. Here's a close-up of how we just plated them up. We just took a bowl full of them and just placed them in the bowl. That's basically it. Nice color on these. You can see a little bit of crisp on them. Again, being in the air fryer on a raised rack allowed to get the airflow all throughout it, and nothing had to sit in any of its juices. And I was able to eat these with no sauce. Team no sauce here. No barbecue sauce or anything needed. They were just seasoned great. I was doing a taste test of it. Had to heat it with some Tabasco sauce before we got into it. And here is a close-up of what one of them looked like before, as they cooled down a bit. The flavor of these were great. Just this simple seasoning of just kosher salt, black pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder was enough to season this perfectly. And we went heavy with it. It was kind of like a very simple steak seasoning, just heavy on the salt and pepper to get the flavor to come out of it. Taking a bite of it, you can see the rib completely clean from the bone, very easy. They were nice and tender, even though they were cooked only for the 20-minute mark in the air fryer, just because they were just cut just so small of a piece. Here is another close-up of one of the larger pieces. As you can see, it kind of shriveled down quite a bit because those were nice, large, square, rectangular shaped pieces, and you see all that fat that rendered out of them. You can also cook these in the oven if you like. If you do in the oven, just make sure you use a raised rack so again nothing sits in its juices. You can also deep fry them. Deep frying would be very well. I didn't feel like deep frying them due to all of the frying that we did during the Christmas, the turkey and ham and all that. Now again, if you cut these up, if you wanted to cut these up into 2 bones, it would be okay, because it would kind of be like you biting into a rib and just pulling them apart, eating them that way. You just have to work a little bit more, getting all the meat off from around it. But these things were great. The flavor that came out of these were perfect. You can just see the expression on my face. These things were good. I almost ate this whole bowl just while sitting here filming this little bit right here. If anyone has any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. All right, guys. Here we have 2 huge jalapenos. I got them from the farmer's market, and we got a pack of beef hot dogs. So I was trying to see if I could. They're about the same size, so I'm gonna try to basically cut these open and basically stuff a hot dog right in the middle of it and cook it that way in the air fryer. If this doesn't work, well, I'll just try it like that. It might stick out a little bit, but hey. If this doesn't work, we do have these leftover jalapenos from barbecue that they're already soft and everything, so I can just try to stuff them in that. I really don't want to core them because I like all those seeds, but I might just stuff some of them back in. I was eating one of the leftover hot dogs from the barbecue the other day, and I've had the jalapeno. Instead of just eating that and then taking a bite out of it, I was like, let me just wrap it around it, and it did the job. Let's see. Try to get down as deep as I can without busting it open. Let's see if that works. Open this pack of beef hot dogs. Hope the kids don't mind them eating their hot dogs. We still got some sausages left over, but the sausages are way too thick, so I know that won't work. Let's see. It only goes halfway in. It'll work, but I gotta cut it deeper. I could cut the tip off right here and just let it just hang all the way through. Let's see. I'm getting there. If I push it too hard, I might just bust the hot dog open. I don't want this to bust open. I busted through the back end with the knife. I'm just gonna cut the tip off and just push it all the way through. Like fitting a round peg in a square hole. Let's try it now. Man, it's getting stuck. If I cut all the way through, it might not, it'll just wrap around it like a bun. It won't be like fully encased. Oh, I just ripped it. But that might be enough to get it in though. Yeah, it is. There we go. All right, let's try this also. I know Tia definitely ain't gonna eat this. Yeah, so just cut off both ends and just core out the inside. Oh, that one, yeah, this one's a lot bigger. That one went in a lot easier. I could just leave that just like this. I could push it. If I push it, this end piece might burn some. I'm gonna put it in the air fryer, but that's not gonna bother me at all. I could try to put some cheese in with it. There we go. That's perfect. That is fully inside. Perfect. I already know that's gonna be good. All right, let's pop this in the air fryer. Whoa.
go. Probably check this after about 5 minutes. Forgot about it. Oh, they're doing well. Okay, that must turn on a bit. Let's keep that going. They look done to me. That one look good. Go a little longer. Let's see. Jalapeno is still a little. Oh no, they're done. They're ready. Man, these look good. I was thinking that I should have stuffed them with cheese, but I know it would have pretty much went everywhere. If I would have cut it lengthwise like this, I probably could have, stuffed cheese, but then it probably would have went everywhere. But I could have just sprinkled some cheese on top and just pop it in the microwave. Yeah, let me try doing that. Try to keep it all on top. That should work. Yeah. That's good. We good. All right, guys, here we go. Got a little trio of ketchup, mayo, and mayonnaise and mustard. We're gonna try it out. I'll just go for it. Let's see. That's good. That's good. The hot dog, the part that's exposed on the outside, I cooked more than the one that is inside. It's still cooked, but it's the one on the outside is a bit softer. But this is good. Not that much heat due to the fact of taking all the seeds out, which I kind of miss. I kind of want that heat. I could dump some seeds on top of it, but it does the job. You get the jalapeno flavor. It's good. I just want a little bit more heat. Oh yeah. I like it. I'll do it again. Just one more heat. Just Tabasco sauce or something maybe added to it. Yeah. Extra large jalapenos. Put cheese, cream cheese made Burke. Like a hot dog jalapeno popper. But I like it. There you go. Alright guys, start off this recipe here. We're gonna take our bowl. We're gonna add in 4 ounces of cream cheese. Oh, try to scrape off as much as I can. And we're
we're also going to add in about 1.5 cups of mozzarella cheese. Pop that in the microwave for about a minute to melt. All right, this is what it looked like out of the microwave. Now to that, we're going to add in a cup of almond flour and 2 eggs. Let me start mixing it up first. I might not need 2 eggs, I might just do 1. Let's mix it up well. Just trying to get this well combined so that the almond flour, there's no more lumps or anything in it. It's nice and creamy now. Smooth, I should say, not creamy. Pliable. It's basically what we want, because we're basically just going to stuff each of these. We're going to flatten this out and just put basically pieces of cream cheese inside it. And yeah, that should work right there. Alright, that's basically it. Let's start forming these balls. Let me get some wax paper down. Side. Alright. Let's see how we're going to do this. Let me just break off a piece. It might be too much, but let's see. Here we have some cream cheese. Just take a piece. That might be too much as well. But let's do a little smaller than that. That's it. Extra dough. Extra dough. And just wrap it around it. That's all I'm gonna do to it. Make a little ball. And keep doing this. Let me spray this with some cooking spray so it won't stick to my fingers that much. That's basically it. Now you know I'm gonna stuff some of these with some other things. Other ingredients, definitely some jalapenos or something. Let me try that now. Cream cheese in there, some jalapenos, fold it over, that's gonna work.
All right, let me just continue doing this. I'm gonna speed this up a bit.
We went ahead and sped this section up here. We were stuffing these bagel bites with cream cheese, some with cheddar cheese, and some with jalapenos, and some with a mixture of both.
Alright guys, this is how they looked after we finished rolling up all of them. We got a total of 17 of them. Could have got a little more if I'd have made them a bit smaller, but at the end I kind of just started stuffing the seasoning, the cream cheese in there. Now basically going to sprinkle some everything bagel seasoning over top of them and kind of roll them in there to get them over all sides. And pop them in the oven. That's it. Alright, now we're basically going to just take them and place them on a greased cookie sheet for easy cleanup. See if we can get them all on here spaced out evenly in case they open up. I'm gonna try to place them on the sheet so that I kind of know which ones have jalapenos in them or not. But if not, we'll just get a little spice into you. Alright. So here we go. I'll kind of move them around a little better, but got them all spread out in there. So I'll pop these in the oven at 425 and check them out. This is how we're looking before we go in the oven. Here we go. All right, guys, they're out of the oven. Let's put this towel down so I don't burn my cutting board. And this is how they look coming out. 425 for 15 minutes. And they look very nice. Browned up nice. Still hot. Cheese oozing out of some of the cheesy ones. These look really good. Nice crust on the bottom of them. I don't know. I done forgot which ones had jalapenos in them, but it don't matter to me. Let's release some of these up and let them cool off, and then let's get into one. What the heck? You know I'm impatient. Let's try this one. I see a jalapeno right there in that one, so this has jalapeno in it. Let's open it up. Ooh, it's hot. This is hot. Oh man, that's good. Tia, we got a winner. All right, guys, here are our bagel bites. These came out very nice. This one had the cream cheese in it, but nice, bready. It's good. You can stuff these with whatever you really want. Meat. The everything bagel seasoning works very well. Salt, pepper, onion powder, or granulated onion, garlic. These ain't gonna last that long. These ain't gonna last that long at all. Definitely try these out. Stuff them with whatever you want. I did jalapenos, you know, of course I did jalapenos.
cream cheese, cheddar cheese, you pepperoni, salami, whatever you want. I mean, like I want to add the pepperonis, the jalapenos to it, because my favorite ones are, if you guys are Auntie Annie's close to you guys, I really love their jalapeno pretzels. I haven't had one in a very long time, but that was one of the reasons why I wanted to make this. But try this recipe out, guys. Enjoy. All right, guys, that was our Fathead Dough Bagel Bites taste test. These definitely came out great. We have them stuffed with some cream cheese, some stuffed with some cheddar cheese, as well as some jalapenos. Definitely see myself doing this again, possibly making some pizza bites out of it, stuffing it with some marinara sauce and pepperonis and mozzarella cheese, or even possibly making some breakfast bites out of them with some scrambled eggs and breakfast sausage. A whole bunch of possibilities with this. But if you guys have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy.
All right, guys. To start off this recipe here, we have our cauliflower. We have a head of cauliflower. We're going to chop up 2 heads of cauliflower for this. It's going to make a lot of chips that we're going to use for our nachos. We took the cauliflower, cored it, cut off the stem, and basically broke up all of the cauliflower pieces off and basically sliced them into pieces and used that as the chips. On the second one, we pretty much did it a little bit easier. We just basically took it, cut it lengthwise and kept it whole. Some of it made a few cauliflower steaks out of it, but we just sliced everything up, and that was a lot faster than doing it as opposed to breaking everything apart. We put all of our cauliflower into a large bowl, and then we went ahead and started seasoning it up. We seasoned it with some olive oil and then some kosher salt and black pepper. Then we added in some of our Cooking with Thatown2 taco seasoning, and went ahead and mixed to combine everything to get our seasoning coated onto as much of the cauliflower as we could. Then we put down our large 15-inch cast iron skillet and went ahead and loaded the cauliflower all onto the pan. Realized that this would be too much. I think that it would start steaming as opposed to crisping up that we wanted it to, so took out our baking sheet lined with aluminum foil and sprayed it with some cooking spray, and then put a layer down on that, so we have half on that and half in our pan. Put that in the oven at about 425 for about 20 to 25 minutes. And as it was cooking, we went ahead and just started to brown up our hamburger meat. That was seasoned same way with salt, pepper, and our Cooking with Thatown2 taco seasoning. And then this is how our cauliflower chips came out after they came out of the oven. You can see it's a bit loose, didn't crisp up as much as I wanted it to. I probably could have left it in a bit longer, or either maybe preheated the pans to get a good crust on them before cooking them, but they came out well. Here we are going to head and building our layer of nachos. We have our cauliflower down as our base layer. On top of that, we put down a layer of our hamburger meat, and then we put down some baby spinach. Here's a layer of cheddar cheese and some diced tomatoes. We went ahead and chopped up some cilantro and onions, mixed that together, and put down a layer of that, as well as some salsa and some green onions. And then we put down some of our homies. We have some jalapenos here. And here is a final product of how our tower of nachos looked with using cauliflower florets as the base layer. They worked out really nice. One of the things that I probably could have did differently is maybe preheated the oven a bit more, or preheated the pans that we used to get them a bit more crispier. Here we are doing a taste test, putting down some Tabasco sauce for some additional heat and flavor, and trying to figure out where I want to dig in, where I want to start at. When I eat nachos, I use my hands. I don't use a fork or anything unless I have to, unless it's all just mush and you got to scoop everything up. Here's a close-up of the well, the spinach leaf is pretty much blocking all of the cauliflower and the meat. But the again, as I said, I would probably preheated the oven and preheated the pans to when I put them down to get a good crisp on them. Doing a close-up of this cauliflower fillet right here, you can kind of see that it kind of bends a bit. So I mean, it held its shape. If you cut it correctly, they'll hold their shape well. But if the smaller pieces are the ones that may be bendable or more pliable. So, but you can still just scoop them up and eat them that way. Again, some people don't like lettuce or spinach in their nachos. It doesn't bother me because I tend to eat all of the chips around the base layer, around the outside, and then end up with not that many chips in the middle. End up starting to use my spinach leaves or lettuce leaves as chips and just scoop everything up into that and eat it that way. Also, some people don't like melted cheese. Some don't like shredded cheese. It doesn't bother me. Some people, if you don't have melted cheese, it's not nachos. That doesn't mean anything to me. It's nachos to me. But this came out very well. The cauliflower florets didn't have any cauliflowery taste due to all the seasonings that we added to it. And it worked very well as our base layer for the nachos, sort of like we did with the cucumber nachos. As long as you got that taco flavor in it, everything works in and works well together. Now we had a lot of cauliflower chips, so this is some of the leftovers that we had on other days. I did go ahead and put some in a pan with the cheese and melt everything on it to do it that way, and that worked well also if that's the way you want it. Got a cheese pull there. Here's another day that we have going through with adding some avocado to it. We were able to eat off this for about 2 or 3 days because that's how much cauliflower that we had cut up with using 2. So you can definitely use 1 or half a cauliflower if you're doing it, cooking it for 1 person, and just scale down the portions. But we cook a lot here and have a lot of leftovers. But if anyone has any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy.
Enjoy. And please subscribe. Enjoy.
Hey Towners, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. All ingredients and directions are listed in the description box below each video. And as always, thank you guys for watching.